Hello and welcome to this week's episode of John's Garage. This week we're test driving an Astra H, but this isn't just any Astra H, this is an OPC, so that's Opel Performance Centre, and that straight away tells us this is a 2-litre turbocharged with 241 brake horsepower and 0 to 60 under 7 seconds. So this is a super car. So listen, let's jump right into it. Let's have a good look around the car, test drive the car, and we'll give a couple of opinions on the car. Let's go. Okay, so what exactly is the Astra H generation, okay? The Astra H ran in production from 2004 until 2010, whereupon it was replaced by the next Astra, and that's pretty much as exciting as it gets. However, there was one really bright spark within that range, and that was the OPC model, which is what we have here today. So the OPC in Ireland was only available as the 3-door sport hatch. Well, this is a 2006 example. It's an original Irish car as well, which makes it a little bit rare. Okay, some of these were imported afterwards and they had Vauxhall badges and VXR badges, but to have an original Astra OPC from Ireland is an unusual thing, shall we put it that way. So you might be wondering, what makes this special? Okay, there's a couple of different things going on here. Number one, power, lots of it. There's 241 horsepower going through the front wheels of this car. That's all coming from a 2-litre turbocharged petrol. Very nice engine, 16 valves, really performance focused. Pops and bangs, let's put it like that when you change gear. So it's a really nice car. Super handling as well. So this car is fitted with electronic dampers, and that's hooked up to an IDS suspension system, which essentially brings all the information together to make this car drivable through a lot of electricity, we'll put it like that, okay? Now, the owner has been very clear with me. When I take this for the test drive, I am to turn off traction control. They said there's a sport button on the dashboard, hold it down for 5 seconds and traction control will go off. Otherwise, if you try and enjoy this car in any way, shape or form, the dashboard keeps lighting up and the traction control keeps going, no, you're not doing that. Too much fun for you, boy. Anyway, what else is going on here with this particular car? So a little bit about the story of the car. It was owned by a friend of the current owners for a number of years. And in about 2017, for reasons we won't get into, the car got parked up, okay? And it was left until 2022, parked up outside, whereupon the current owner, car enthusiast and mechanic, bought it and they took it and they decided this car is too good to just let it rot into the ground. So they spent a huge amount of time, they rebuilt the suspension, they rebuilt the brakes, they got new tires, they've done a huge service on the car, and they told me they had to do a very thorough detailing of the interior. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward, okay? The thing that this has resulted in, though, is an Astra OPC that drives like it's back in 2006 all over again. This car drives brilliantly. It's pin sharp, the handling is good and tight, doesn't feel its age at all. Like, in fairness, the car's 17 years old. You wouldn't know that by driving it, okay? It's in super condition. Again, low mileage helps. There's about 120,000 kilometers on it, and it really feels good. The interior's in great condition, the bodywork is in great condition. It's been the owner's pride and joy for, we'll say, over 12 months. They've worked on it and gotten it into this condition, and it is something to be proud of. Now, they've reached the crossroads, though, and I'm hoping in the comments section you could help them out. They're not sure whether to keep it or not. On one hand, they absolutely love it, drives brilliant. On the other hand, it's a completed project, so what do? Do they drive it on or do they sell it? So bloop into the comments there and let me know, what do you think they should do? I'm going to drive it and then decide, but I'll let you guys know what I think they should do. Anyway, other than that, what have we got here, okay? So Jeremy Clarkson famously test drove these on Top Gear, and in one hand he said they were brilliant, but he said they were too brilliant. The brilliance part that I suppose spoiled the package was the fact that they were trying to put too much power out through the front wheels, making them a little bit uncontrollable on a track. And I'm saying on a track, okay? Because out in the open road, I've driven this car over here, I took it on a winding country road. I have to say it drove bloody brilliant. It was really nice, lovely sharp handling. Now I pressed on, I pushed on, I didn't have any issues with it, okay? And I had the traction control off while I was doing that, okay? So there was no issues for me. I suppose if you put it on the track and really belt it, yeah, yeah, it possibly will not handle as well. That 241 horsepower was a lot through the front wheels, but that's what OPC was all about. It was about power, it was about shouting, it was about taking it to the Focus RS, taking it to the Golf GTI, and it did that. Golf GTI and Focus were all about 200 horsepower at that stage. Renault Clio RS, again 200 horsepower, 197 actually to be exact. So there was nothing really up at the mid 250s, 240, 250 that could touch this as a front wheel drive hot hatch. And it really is a hot hatch to drive, okay? Anyway, let's open up the bonnet and have a little look at what's going on under there. Now, of course, a lot of these, the regular Astra H's were built in Ellesmere Port in the UK, and as such were branded Vauxhall. And they basically convinced you that, or convinced the British that they were the best of British. They were fully British designed, fully British built, but they weren't. Okay, some of them were British built, but they weren't British designed. They were the work of the Germans, okay? And they've done a great job with the car. Anyway, I'm going to bring the camera in a little bit closer. We can admire this beautiful engine bay. Okay, so what exactly is going on underneath here? Well, we have a great big whopping turbocharger strapped onto a 2-litre petrol 4-cylinder engine. Now that turbocharger, I can tell you from driving, it's a bit old school. Now what do I mean by that? I mean that when you're driving around, it just feels like a regular 2-litre. You get up to, let's say 2,000 revs. It's, I don't want to say it's laggy, but there's no turbocharger kicking in. After about 3,000, you better grab your steering wheel because you're going to get thrown back in your seat. It takes off. It changes the personality of the car completely. So it's a car that you really need to rev, you need to keep it on the boil, you need to keep whipping it, shall we say, to get the most out of it. Performance time, 0 to 100 kilometers in 6.8 seconds, goes on to a top speed of 242 kilometers per hour. That's 152 miles per hour. So it's got the figures, okay? They are in there. It is a really, really good car to drive. On a regular road and regular hands, I think it handles really, really well. As I say, maybe, as Clarkson said, maybe if you take it on a track, the chassis finds its limits with all that power going out through the front wheels, and it probably does, okay? I know the Ford Focus, the Golf, they all had to eventually, I suppose, design various electricery systems to get around that, and of course upgrade the chassis and so on and so forth as the power began to rise. Also, competitor for this car would have been the Megane RS as well. I said the Clio earlier, but the Megane RS, of course, as well. That also had its own steering problems, but Renault Sport worked very, very hard to overcome them. Anyway, let's jump inside and have a little look in there. But I'm just admiring this for 1 second, folks, because that engine just looks superb. Anyway, come on, join me inside. We'll have a little look around in there. So, folks, you're very welcome to the interior of the Astra H OPC. And what an interior it is. Now, I just want to flick back to the past a little bit. When I was younger, around 2006, when these cars were current, I always wanted one. I thought they were just amazing. The Focus, I thought was too bland at that generation. The Golf, Mark V Golf GTI, I'm sorry, but I never really thought it was that exciting to look at. The Megane RS, Megane Mark II, they were just too fragile as far as I was concerned. I always felt that this was the perfect balance. And what also tipped the balance for me was they were available as a 1.4 litre, so it was attainable to me. The OPC obviously was never going to be insurable for a young guy, but still it was a cool car. It was good to know that there was a Halo car out there that really appealed to me as a young person, okay? Nowadays, of course, the Halo models are electric. They're economy cars and stuff like that, so yeah. Well, maybe not economy cars, but you get what I'm saying. They're just not as exciting. The thing I like about this car, although Clarkson said the handling was flawed, I kind of like cars with flaws. I don't like perfect cars because, well, they're boring in a way. That's kind of what happened to me with the Mark V Golf GTI. It was great. Just nothing interesting about its personality. Whereas a car like this, yeah, I thought this was a really interesting car. Now, one thing I do like, and I love this touch, in the right-hand dial, the speedometer, it says OPC. And the left-hand side at the rev counter tells you what OPC means. Opel Performance Center. So you know this car means business. It also has blue dials that look like Nike blue, kind of. I suppose maybe it's to appeal to the owners. Anyway, let's get on with looking around the interior. First of all, these bucket seats are massive. They really grip you. And why wouldn't they? Top quality in here. We have Recaro bucket seats up front. Next up, the owner has changed the head unit, but there would have been a reasonably good radio fitted here on new. We have air conditioning. There's my spurt button. We have cruise control. If you're on the motorway and you're not going to have much enjoyment. We have light switches over here. We can also adjust the brightness of your dials and stuff like that, okay? Of course, there is reach adjustment and up down on the steering wheel, which is great. You have electronic windows, you have electronic mirrors, that kind of stuff. There's nothing unusual up here. No center armrest, which kind of annoys me a little bit. But then again, these bucket seats are so hefty, it ain't going to fit between them. 6-speed manual gearbox. We also have a nice little footrest down here, which is always appreciated by bad back sufferers like myself, and so on and so forth. Now, I used to regularly drive a 1.4 litre version of this when I was younger, and I used to quite like it. I always felt the handling was good. I felt the engine was well able to pull. But one thing that didn't quite gel with me was I always felt they were a bit thin. Now, I have to say, in the 3-door version, I never really felt that. I always felt this was a quality package. I don't know why, whether it was perception or whether it was reality, but I always felt that the 3-door was a step up. And I'm always sorry I never owned a 3-door. But anyway, such is life. It didn't happen. You also have controls on the steering wheel, but I have to say, that is a beautiful steering wheel to hold. Okay, sometimes I'm a bit iffy about steering wheels, but that leather feels like really good quality. The stitching is in really good condition. Yeah, it's a nice car, I'm not going to lie, folks. I personally like the piano finish, shiny piano finish to the dashboard. I know some people complain about it, don't particularly like it. I do like it. I think it's a nice little glossy touch and a classy touch at that, much like myself. Okay, of course, if you want to dip the mirror, there's a little knob here you just flick from side to side. And I think that's kind of it, really. You have great big vanity mirrors with little lights if that's your thing, and you also have the back seats. I'm not going to demonstrate entry and exit today as I have a little bit of a strain on my back and I don't want to hurt myself any further, but there is a good entry and exit system in it. And a final thing I like, a little bit of practicality, we have a good glove box, okay, with your driver's manuals and so on and so forth, all in there. And one thing I like that the owner did here, a lot of people overlook this, but I think it's really important to do. They fitted brand new mats. It lifts the interior, okay, folks. It always, if you ever want to just refresh an interior, fit new mats, new number plates, and that's it. You have facelifted the car, shall we say. Anyway, I think it's time we took this for a drive. So I'm going to strap the camera up there and we're going to go have fun. All right, let's get on with it. So, folks, you're very welcome to the test drive of the Astra OPC. So we're just in town, we're just leaving town right now, so I'm obviously not giving it revs or anything like that. We're just cruising along, and it's actually really comfortable in here. Now, don't get me wrong, your body is not moving in these bucket seats. They are very, very well bolstered, but they're quite comfortable, and being Recaros, they really feel like quality items, I'm not going to lie. So I hope the camera is placed so you can see everything, but sport button is up here. This is what the owner told me when I'm ready to have a little bit of fun. Press and hold that. They've fitted a more modern head unit. It looks like an Android unit to me, for obviously hooking up their phone, playing music and stuff like that, which is fine. That's quite a common upgrade now on a lot of, I don't want to say modern cars that can be modernized, let's put it that way. Other than that, the view out of here, as long as you're looking forward and to the side, is excellent. If you look in the rear view mirror, it's like looking through a letterbox, so that's a bit tight. Other than that though, it's really, really nice in here. And I have to say, listen, I've owned several Opels, so first of all, I'm going to qualify this, I've owned them, but I do give them stick about the interiors being bland and so on and so forth. I have to say, in the regular cars, day-to-day stuff, well, they are a bit bland. Now, modern stuff accepted, that's a lot better. But at this generation, it's just as if General Motors just wasn't trying. They're just sticking any old thing in the car, giving any old design, saying, yeah, that'll do, sign it off. But this is well finished, this is well upholstered. It's got nice detailing, okay? It's got good quality finish to it. There's no squeaks, there's no rattles, there's nothing like that. And it's really, really nice. It's well built, it's comfortable. I really think a car like this, I think the OPC, if I'm not going to lie, I think they have an image problem, but I think the image and the reality, I don't particularly think they match. I think the car's aged really well. Now, do you think the owner of this car should sell it? Let me know in the comments, but I'm not gonna lie, folks, I don't think they should. I don't think you would replace this with a modern car that is as fun, that is as enjoyable, that's as cheap. Like, I don't know exactly what their asking price is and what the car owes them, but I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that these are worth approximately 5,000 euros, in and around, give or take. I've been watching the values of them. They haven't really picked up much. But if you look at the likes then of the Volkswagen Golf Mark 5 GTI, we're not going to get one of them for 5 grand. We'll put it like that. And if you do, you're going to have to do work to it. Or something like this, that's what I will be thinking it's worth, 5,000 to 6,000, maybe 6.5. It is really good condition and the mileage is low and it's had a lot of work done recently. So it is, to me, that's where the value lies. Now, I don't know what the owner's going to ask for it, and that's their business. But I do think there's a nice car in here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loop around here. I'm kind of stuck in a line of traffic, folks. And that means I can't really have that much fun. So what I would like to do, though, is the motorway exits down here. Let's pull onto the motorway for a second and see if we can get an old pop or a bang out of the exhaust. It's super eager to go once you get it up in the rev range, by the way, folks. Well worth noting that. As I say, it's really comfortable. I'm quite surprised. You can potter about in it. It's not a big, it's not definitely not a heavy car. It's definitely something you can throw around and enjoy. Now, looking at the miles per gallon, that currently is giving 33.6 miles per gallon, which, considering the performance, I don't think that's that bad. Now, I have squiggly lines on the dashboard, which tells me I've drift mode engaged, and it says F off. Is that like F off or something? Anyway, I think we're nearly going to have a little bit of fun here and just see what this is all about. So, wait a minute, I'm in third gear. I'm getting that all wrong. So yeah, we're approaching motorway speed 120. So we'll maybe just slow it down a little bit. So we don't want to go illegal there, folks. But anyway, as you can tell, acceleration is very brisk. I drove in a curve, not a straight line, so we know it can go around a bend. I have the traction control off, and the Opel isn't cutting in to tell me I'm being a naughty boy. So 120, that's what we got up to there. Very nice, very good to go. I have to say, nice pops and bangs out of the back. A lovely sound to the engine. Really, really good. Now, to the best of my knowledge, and I actually forgot to check this, folks, before I came out, this is the same engine as in the Opel Speedster. I'm fairly certain I referenced it in that video. In this, it's more muted because it's not right behind your ear, but it still produces an absolutely to die for sound. The acceleration is brutal. There's no point in putting it any two ways. Once that turbo kicks in, off she goes, folks. I hope you like my sound effects there, but that is the experience you're getting with this. Now, one thing which I know I hated at the time when this car was current, but subsequently now every blooming car has it and I'm completely used to it, is the indicators. So for those who can remember back, or who owned these in the past, you'll know that you just flick it down and you get 3 flashes of the lights, but then you're meant to flick it down further if you want them to stay on permanently. And what you ended up seeing was people driving around with the blooming indicators switching from one side to the other as they struggled to knock it off. It was a bit irritating, but once you got used to it, it actually worked fine. And of course, as I say, it's the same system now really that's fitted to most modern cars, so that you don't be driving around with your indicators on. Now, I'm just going to, well, we'll rejoin the motorway and we'll get that sound going again. And this time I'm hoping my microphone will pick up maybe a pop and a bang, but we'll see. They're certainly there, I know that. I'm going to shut up and just let you enjoy. And as I said, the great thing about it is it's just a wall of power. The acceleration is constant. And of course, you reach motorway speeds of 120 very, very easily, so we don't have to worry about keeping up with traffic, of course, okay? And being such a modern car, why would you want to be worried about keeping up with modern traffic? I hope the microphone picked up the pops and bangs there, folks, because my ears were picking them up. But as I say, it's such a nice, natural drive. Now, turbocharged versus naturally aspirated, which do you prefer? I prefer in a modern car the turbocharger, and the reason I prefer them in a modern car is they're heavier, okay? They're a much, much heavier car. They need that wall of power to kick in. Whereas if you go to the older cars, they're far lighter. You can have a lot more fun without a turbo. All you need is a light body and rev the guts out of the engine, and you will have fun, okay? You can chuck it around, you can throw it around. You don't have the turbo kicking in and scaring the pants off you as you go around a turn. Whereas in this case, it's good and heavy, it's a strong car, it needs that turbo to just give you that woof of power higher up in the rev range. So obviously a very nice car and a very enjoyable car, and a car I'd happily recommend. But back to my question, do I think the owner should sell this car? No, I think they'd be insane. The reason I think they would be insane, where is all this traffic? Mass? Have we just come upon mass ending or something? There's a lot of traffic. Bear in mind, I'm on a country road. There shouldn't be this much traffic. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The owner, should the owner sell this car? I don't personally believe they should. And I don't personally believe they should because I don't exactly know what they're going to get that's going to be as fun. As I say, there's another pop and bang there, that's cool. They're going to be looking at Mark V GTIs, they're more expensive. Focus RS, more expensive. Renault Megane RS, you could pick up one for approximately the price of this, but then you're into massive expenditure on some of the consumables and then like the brake discs are insane prices. So you're back to square one again. More money, more money, more money. I think right now, I know people say the market is overinflated and the price of cars has gone insane. I think if people just looked at alternatives, they would be far better off. The problem is with the market is you have certain models are attracting a huge following. People are paying massive sums of money to get them. Whereas you have other models like an Astra OPC, which isn't attracting such an audience, where there's more fun, or as much fun anyway, but I think more fun. There's as more fun to be had with cars like this, or as much fun to be had with cars like this as there is with the other ones. The other thing is, you pull into a car park, somebody knows you're driving something different. Somebody doesn't look at the car and go, oh yeah, that's the same as the 1.4 litre, it's just probably just a body kit, it's probably just a badge stuck on, as was the case in the past. Whereas with this, you got something different, you got something entertaining, you got something fun, you got something that not everybody else is going to drive. And parts, being a General Motors car, parts are cheap, okay? They can be gotten, they're easy to get. There's nothing unusual here. Most mechanics could work on this car and maintain it for you. There's nothing here that's going to actually trick them out, which, as these cars age, is a very important consideration, especially when it comes to the performance stuff. But anyway, folks, I think the owner's insane selling this. I would absolutely love a car like this. I'm literally sitting here going, can I go home and justify the purchase of this to my wife? I don't think I could, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to try. But it's such a cool car. The carbon fiber finish is quite nice as well. As I say, I like the piano black and I like the acceleration. Unfortunately, I would give you a blast of the acceleration before I go, but there's a big line of traffic in front of me. So listen, with that, folks, for this week, thank you so much for coming along. Really appreciate the fact that you're supporting the channel so much. And yeah, bye-bye for now.